Welcome to Decentralized Energy Canada's Spotlight Series. This series will be composed of a few short interviews with DEC's team, members, and board so that we can all get to know some of the faces behind DEC a little bit better. We will be kicking off the series with a short interview with Anouk Kendall, the founding president of Decentralized Energy Canada. Hi Anouk, how are you?
Hello, Rachel. I'm well. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. So we'll start off with some fun questions. So before working at DEC, what was the most unusual or interesting job that you've ever had?
I worked with the Scottish Natural Heritage in Inverness-shire in Scotland. And I can't remember when that was. I think it was about 1998. And I had just finished my bachelor's degree at the University of Calgary, which included some mapping and cartography and biogeography. So this job had me out in the Scottish Highlands with a map and a felt pen, colored felt pens, and we literally had to. Every tree was represented by a different colored dot depending on what species of tree it was, it was a little bit old school because that's not the mapping we do anymore, but boy, it put me in touch with the environment and that landscape. And I discovered so much. I discovered how cold it could be on a humid day in a spring. I think I was there in April too. So it could get pretty cold, but yeah, it was interesting. It was kind of a very basic connection to woodland regeneration. And they had clear cut a lot of their forests to make room for crofting animals and grazing. So they were trying to reintroduce that natural woodland. And at the same time, they were trying to reintroduce some wolves and deer. It really connected me at a very basic level to what biogeography and conservation of the biosphere means. It was fun.
Wow, sounds very fun. So what did you want to be when you were growing up?
I actually wanted to be an actress. So from the age of 6, I encouraged my parents to send me to theater and do some, which was very good as well, because you learn how to interact with people or to be on a stage and speak to an audience. And I think I use a lot of the skills that I learned from drama and theater studies in my daily work today. So it comes in handy.
That's great. So do you have a hidden talent?
I'm not sure how hidden it is because I'm very loud when I do it, but singing, and I do like jazz gospel singing, and I should do more of it, but I've always done a little bit of it since I was about 12 and did some singing classes. But jazz and gospel, that really heavy, rich, spiritual singing is something I like to do.
So do you have a favorite movie?
I have a few favorite movies, and I also actually have a book that I was going to throw in there. And for me, books and movies have to expose me to something. They have to transport me. They have to take me somewhere different. And that's the only way I can really enjoy books or movies, if it's exposing me to something that's not normal to me. So one of my favorite books is Milan Kundera's The Unbearable Lightness of Being. Then Peter Hoag, Smilla's Feeling for Snow, which I think is a Danish author, and it's a lovely, rich book. And then my movies are Tempopo, about food, and Raise the Red Lantern, and Il Postino. So all of those books and movies transport you to a different country, a different culture, a different way of life. And for me, those are just wonderful.
Well, speaking of transporting, do you have a favorite travel destination?
I do. I'm a beach girl. I like scuba diving and water and sunshine and warmth. So Hawaii and the Caribbean, but Hawaii because it's closer to get to from Calgary. When I lived in Montreal, the Caribbean was easier to get to, but those are my favorite places to do some scuba diving and be outside in your flip-flops and sundress.
That's nice. Much different from Calgary.
Right. Especially right now.
Yeah. So how long have you worked at DEC, and what is your role?
I've been with DEC for 19 years. and I'm the founding president. So 19 years ago, when I came back from the United Kingdom, I got involved with it was an industry consultation on whether Alberta needed an industry association on distributed energy. And there was unanimous agreement that they did. And I got involved with the business plan task force and the organizing committee. And then they were looking for a president, and I volunteered. And 19 years later, here we are.
It's been a long journey.
It has a long journey with some very rewarding moments and some pretty tough moments that required a lot of patience and persistence.
So what are 3 words that you'd use to describe DEC?
Oh, I would say we're dynamic, we're current, and we're connected. And dynamic because of just the rich, broad diversity of the decentralized energy industry. It covers a whole, a breadth of skills and industry subsectors. Current because we have to be. This is an emerging industry. We need to stay ahead of the game. If we don't, our value proposition is lost. And there's a lot going on. It's quite easy to stay current, but to be completely current is hard work because there's so much going on. And then connected. I think our greatest asset is how diverse our network is, but your network is only as good as what you use it for. So we have a very active and engaged network. So connected.
So what are some of the top projects that you're working on right now?
Right now, we've taken a bit of a turn into some new directions. Traditionally, we've stayed more in the developing Canada's network and engaging that network for Canadian projects. But right now, we're shifting to more of an international emphasis. So connecting Canadian companies, products, and services to international markets. We've been working a lot with Global Affairs Canada on that, and we're starting our first proof of concept virtual trade tool with Nigeria. So that's exciting. Education, very excited about DEC having a stronger role to play in curriculum development for colleges and universities, and Lakeland College in particular, we're working very closely with on their sustainable energy technology program. And I think that's a great, DEC brings a lot of value to a college in staying current, understanding what the new trends are. And then microgrids. I'd say microgrids are the next 10 to 15 years. That's where a lot of global investment and Canadian investment is going to go in energy infrastructure. So microgrids will be very important for us for the foreseeable future.
So what has been your favorite project at DEC?
The annual conference, which unfortunately we weren't able to have in 2020, and I'm not sure how it's going to look in 2021, but it brings together, we bring together some extremely intelligent and influential leaders in the industry, and it's always a fantastic event to meet new people, to develop new business partnerships, and to create new projects, real projects with real capacity in the decentralized energy space. So I miss it, but maybe 2021, hopefully 2022.
So what are the biggest challenges that are facing the decentralized energy industry in Canada right now?
I think one of the things is terminology. Canada and globally, we need to adopt standardization of industry terms. Smart grids, microgrids, distributed energy, combined heat and power. There's a lot of lingo in our industry, and there's also a lot of variations on the definitions, mini grids, microgrids, nanogrids, and I think it would be valuable for us to have a standard set of terms that are adopted across Canada at least. I think we need to be a bit more aggressive about adopting sustainable energy strategies and regulations that prohibit unsustainable business practices. I don't think we really have broad enough perspective on what strategic industry development looks like. We do quite well, but I still think we can do way better, and there's so much more to do, and I think it would behoove us to adopt much more aggressive and lower tolerance for unsustainable practices. And then I'd say the third thing would be the provinces and territories need to find common ground in terms of working together to drive innovation. There's a lot of, again, it's standardization, but not on terms, but the regulations and what is innovation and how do you support innovation. I think the provinces and territories need to collaborate a little bit more on that side of things.
So on the flip side, then, what are your hopes for the decentralized energy industry?
I hope that by 2050, over 50% of Canada's energy generation is integrated into the built environment. So into the built environment or into buildings, which I think is coming, but it depends on whether we adopt aggressive targets and strategies for sustainability, given our changes in electricity consumption and the charge and discharge devices that we're using all over the place, phones, coffee makers, everything's interconnected, everything uses electricity and everything needs to be recharged. And I think if by 2050, over 50% of our energy is produced within the built environment and buildings, then we will be much better prepared for a resilient, sustainable, and affordable energy future.
Great. Well, those are some great words to end on. Thank you so much for agreeing to join on the interview today, Anouk.
Thank you, Rachel.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for joining today and for kicking off the series with me. Stay tuned, everyone, for the next Spotlight Series interview coming out soon.